Let's begin today in a comfortable seat on your mat. You can be cross-legged on the ankles. You can be sitting on your blanket or pillows or blocks, anything like that. And then whenever you arrive, you can just allow the eyes to gently close, no rush. And take a big cleansing breath, inhaling to fill up through the nose. Exhale, let it all go through the mouth. And just start to tune in with the quality of your breath this morning, the quality of the mind. Some days we're a lot busier in our heads, and other days it can feel a lot easier to sit in a quiet space. Just doing your best to notice wherever you are today without judging that. Relaxing the forehead, softening the jaw, and just allowing all the muscles on your face to just hang off of the bones. Really soft face. The shoulders are melting down away from the ears. The stomach is soft. Your tailbone's rooting down. Crown of your head is lifting up. Let's take 3 deep belly breaths. So when you inhale, envision the breath traveling to your lower belly and letting that expand to your middle and upper belly. Maybe holding for a moment at the top when you're full, and then letting it all go the way that you came. So releasing from the top of the belly to the middle to the lower. So you can do that 3 times at your own pace. And then whenever you're finished with your 3 rounds, just let the breath become natural again. On your next inhale, reach both your arms out and over your head, maybe moving slowly and really feeling the length on your side bodies, noticing if your lower ribs start to come open and knitting them back under, keeping that length in the spine. Your palms can be facing each other, and just explore the sensations here. You can be still, or you can maybe move around, just kind of getting some creaks out. Encouraging your biceps to be alongside the ears, and at the same time knitting the bottom ribs back under, because you'll notice when you start to lift the arms back, the back starts to arch. Awesome. On your next exhale, you can slowly lower your right hand down and bend on over to the right, feeling a big stretch on the left side of the body. Each time that you inhale, feeling a little bit more length in the spine and also in the left side of your body. And on your exhales, reaching over a little bit further, keeping that left sit bone on the ground. Staying with that breath. Next inhale, reach both arms back up. Feel a difference in the side bodies. And then exhale, take that to the other side. Slowly lower the left arm, stretching out the right side of the body. Same thing here. On your inhales, find a little bit more length in that left side of the body. And as you exhale, bending over a little bit deeper. Awesome. Next time you inhale, go ahead, reach both arms back up. And then exhale, drop the right arm down again. And this time bring your left hand behind your head and look up at your elbow. Inhaling here. Exhale and crunch down, bringing your left elbow towards your right knee, maybe touching it, maybe not getting there completely if your left sit bone starts to lift. And then when you inhale, coming back up, looking up at the elbow. And you can move like this 5 times with your breath. And the slower you move, the more little components you'll be able to notice. The faster you move, then the more energy will be moving through your body. So it's really just preference this morning. And feeling this in the on the lower left side of the back and the organs there. And then whenever you're finished, we can just meet looking back up at your elbow and really feel the sternum separating. Feel your collarbones and breastbone, that triangle, feel it getting wider. So really breathing into the heart. Awesome. And then exhale, you can come back to center, release your arm down, just pause for a moment. And then when you're ready, let's do that to the other side. So you can inhale, reach the arms up, and exhale, left arm down, right hand behind the head, look up at your elbow. As you exhale, crunching down, right elbow to left knee. And again, yeah, moving with your own breath at your own pace. Slowly or quickly, noticing where you're feeling this the most. For instance, I'm feeling this a lot in my arm, in the bicep here, a little bit louder than in my actual back today, but you might be feeling this more in your spine. You might be feeling this more in the neck, perhaps, wherever it is, just noticing. And then whenever you've completed your 5 rounds, we can meet back looking at your elbow and pausing there. And once again, feeling that triangle between the collarbones and sternum, feeling that getting wider. The shoulder blades are drawing slightly together and down your back. Looking at the ceiling. And then exhale, coming back to center, release the arm and pause. Now you can exhale and bring your chin over your left shoulder. Just pause for a moment here. Really make sure that your torso is staying the same and your shoulders are even. Feeling this really nice stretch down the front right of your neck. And then let's inhale to center. Exhale to the other side. The chin comes over the right shoulder. So you can do that 3 or 4 more times, moving with your breath, inhaling to center, exhaling to the other side. Just being gentle with our neck. Maybe feeling the creaks, breathing into those tighter spaces. And then when you're finished, you can bring your chin back to center. Again, always no rush. And then just allow your right ear to fall toward the right shoulder. Pause for maybe a breath or 2 here. And then just let your chin come down to the chest and let your left ear come over to the left shoulder. Pause for a breath or 2. And then keep moving the way we just came. Chin coming to chest, ear coming to shoulder. And just do this a few more times, moving with your own breath. Pausing wherever it feels extra juicy, extra good. Breathing into those spaces. Really just checking in with how our necks are doing. Great. And then when you feel completed and even on both sides, just meet with our chin down at the chest. So you're looking straight down. The spine is staying straight. And you can switch the crossing of your legs now, since we've been on this side for a while. And you can interlace your hands and bring them behind the head. Just adding a little bit of weight, allowing the elbows to dangle just for a moment here. And then as you inhale, push the back of your head into your hands and lift your chin away from the sternum. Feel the chest broaden, feel the elbows reaching back behind you. Breathing into the throat center. Awesome. And then as you exhale, release the hands, bring them in front of your shins, and let's come into our tabletop. So meeting with the shoulders over wrists, hips over knees, toes hidden behind the thighs, and fingers spread so wide that you feel the skin in between the fingers stretching, and your wrist creases are parallel to the front edge of your mat. And When you're ready, you can start to move through your cat-cows if you haven't already. Inhaling to drop the belly as you come into cow pose, and exhaling to lift the spine into your cat pose. So keeping every movement linked with your breath and practicing allowing your breath to come first. So when the body inhales, that's the cue to your body to move into the next movement. And when your body exhales, that's your cue to move again. And you don't have to be so rigid about what movements you're doing on your inhales and exhales. In general, when we open up the chest, we inhale, and when we curl, we exhale. But I think we should have permission to explore those areas too, because it can be nice to, when you're coming into cat pose, you inhale into the back body, and picture the breath coming into the back of your heart. And then as you exhale, you envision that leaving the back. So just playing around, free movements. You can wag the tail, you can circle the spine, shoulders and hips, just whatever your body wants to do right now. Just really warming up our joints, warming up the spine, getting the blood flowing, getting the energy moving throughout the body, waking us up. I'll give you about 7 more deep breaths to move however you'd like. And then whenever you're ready to stop the moving for now, you can meet back in our tabletop. It's a flat spine, feeling that length from your tailbone through the crown of your head. And then tuck your toes under, and we'll start to wake up the core a little bit. So as you inhale, lift your knees off of the mat just about 1 inch to hover, really pulling the navel up to the spine and doing your best to keep your tabletop exactly how it is with your knees on the ground. Take 3 more breaths here, really pulling the navel up into the spine, feeling the strength of your back body, broadening the collarbones. And then exhale, lower the knees down. Inhale, drop the belly, lift the gaze, cow pose. And exhale, let's do that again. So coming back into your straight table, lifting the knees to hover. Inhale, drop the knees down, come into your cow pose. And exhale, come back into table, lift the knees to hover. Inhale, drop the knees down, come into cow pose. One more time. Exhale, come into table and bring the knees to hover. And exhale, release. We're meeting in our tabletop. You can untuck the toes, maybe tap out the feet. And walk your hands forward, melt your heart down. Let's come into our puppy pose. So the hips stay over the knees, forearms and the forehead or chin resting on the mat or a block. Letting the energy reach up through the space in between the sit bones. Letting the front of your heart surrender and be heavy. Maybe taking audible, deep exhales here to really communicate release to the body. Let's do 3 more exhales. Awesome. And then from here, we'll roll forward into our Sphinx pose. So you can start at the lower belly, bringing that up to the navel and waving your body forward so that your pubic bone comes to the mat. So you're in our Sphinx pose. Your forearms are just about parallel to each other. When you look down, your elbows and shoulders are in line with each other, but from a side view, your elbows are just ever so slightly in front of the shoulders. So now root your big toes into the mat and zip up your legs so that they touch each other. And press your pubic bone into the mat. Press your lower belly into the lower back, getting a little lift there. And then feel as if you could drag the floor toward your toes and drag your heart through your arms. So it's an active pressing and pulling with the hands and pressing with the legs and the pubic bone. Now as you exhale, look over your left shoulder. Inhale to center. And exhale, look over your right shoulder. And do that twice more on either side. It's adding a really gentle twist into the upper back and the neck, similar to what we did sitting down. Awesome. And then on your next exhale, go ahead, lower your head down to the mat. You can make a pillow with your hands. Bend the knees up toward the bum, or the feet toward the bum, and windshield wiper the legs back and forth. Massage the belly, release the back. Great. And then when you're ready, you can extend the legs long on your mat. And this time, so with your head facing your mat, your hands can be even with your eyes, and spread them out so that they come just a little bit wider than your mat, and tented fingertips on the floor. As you inhale, lift your heart to pull your shoulders together down the back. And then as you exhale, bring your right shoulder down to the center and look over the left. As you inhale, come back to center. Exhale to the other side. Left shoulder comes down. Look over the right. So you can move a few times like this. This can feel really nice. It's similar to what we just did in Sphinx, but just a little bit deeper as we have more space between the hands and shoulders. And then when you're finished and feel even on both sides, you can bring the hands underneath the shoulders, zip up the elbows tight to the ribs and point them up toward the ceiling. And then tuck your toes under and feel like you're pushing the ground away as you pull the navel up to the spine. You can bring yourself up through a table or through planks. Tuck the toes, lift the hips, downward facing dog. First down dog of the day. You can pedal out the feet. You can find movement. You can find stillness. It's waking up this pose in our bodies. Being mindful of the hands, keeping them just like we did in tabletop, fingers spread super wide, rooting down into the base of the thumb, pointer, and pinky, pressing down in the tips of the fingers as well. And same thing as in puppy pose, the energy is reaching up through the space in between our sit bones. Your heart feels like it's coming toward the thighs. The collarbones and the shoulder blades are broad. And then when you're ready, you can bend the knees, look up toward the top of your mat, and slowly start to walk your feet up to meet your hands, or hands to meet the feet, whatever feels better. And we'll land in our halfway lift as you inhale, long spine. Exhale and forward fold. Let it all go. Let the head dangle, let the arms dangle, let the shoulders dangle. Knees are bent as much as they need to be so that your belly can rest on the thighs to really focus on lengthening the spine. As you exhale, gently tugging your lower belly in and up toward the spine, feeling how that makes a little bit more space for you to bend. Noticing where the weight is located on your feet, maybe shifting it ever so slightly more toward the balls of the feet, so you feel the overall sensation of folding forward first and then down. Let's take 2 more deep exhales here, just letting it go. Breathing into where you're feeling it the most. And then when you're ready, you can really slowly begin to roll yourself up to stand, starting with the legs and the lower back, middle, upper, rolling the shoulders back, head up, palms facing out. Mountain pose. Awesome. So we'll move through a few vinyasa flows just to flush our systems. So when you're ready, inhale, reach the arms up, get nice and long. And exhale, hinge at the hips, dive forward, lead with the heart, forward fold. Inhale, long spine, halfway lift. Exhale, let it go. Plant the hands down. Inhale, step back to your plank position. Heels reach back, crown of the head reach forward. Collarbones and shoulders are broad. And then always option to bring the knees down here, slowly bending the elbows alongside the ribs, keeping them pulling toward each other. And bring yourself in one piece down to your mat or to your chaturanga. Inhale to your baby cobra or your up dog. And exhale, coming back to your downward facing dog. Awesome. 3 big breaths, let it go. Maybe sticking out the tongue. Audible exhales, flushing out the system. Next inhale, bend the knees, look up and step up. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale and fold. Inhale, root to rise, reaching all the way out and up. Maybe a slight back bend at the top. And exhale, hands come to heart center. And taking this moment to pause, check back in. Maybe setting an intention. And when you're ready, inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, dive forward, forward fold. Inhale, long spine, halfway lift. Exhale, let it go. Plant the hands, step back plank. Move through your vinyasa, and we'll meet in our downward facing dog. Maybe fluttering the lips when you arrive, maybe sighing it out. On your next inhale, raise your right leg back and up. 3-legged dog. And you can reach through the heel of your right foot or the ball of your right foot, whatever makes more sense. Just keeping the right leg really strong. Feeling the space from the hands through the right toes. Nice stretch down the left leg. And then using your cat spine, slowly start to shift your shoulders over wrists, curling the spine, curling the knee toward the chest, and step the foot to the top of your mat. Your back foot can pivot to warrior one leg, so 45-degree angle, and rise up to your warrior one. So back toes are facing the front left corner of the mat. Your feet are in separate train tracks in a way, and your hips are totally square to the front of your mat. You should be able to lift all of your toes and still feel secure on your feet. And the toes are just there for that extra grounding and support. The more you feel like your tailbone is tucking down, the deeper the stretch will feel in your left hip flexor. Feeling that your inner thighs are being magnetically drawn toward each other, but you're keeping that front knee over that front ankle. Awesome. As you inhale, just bring your biceps alongside the ears a little bit more, reaching up. And then as you exhale, cactus your arms, so the palms facing away from you, opening up the heart. And then option now to either grab opposite elbows or interlace the hands behind you with your left thumb on top. And pull your fist toward the ground as you reach the heart up toward the ceiling, inhaling here. And then exhale, just like in a forward fold, start to hinge at your hips and dive into your humble warrior. So your right shoulder comes to the inside of the right knee. Always option to widen your stance to fit in there. And letting your fist kind of drag you forward. If this feels too pulling or tight or doesn't feel good in the arms, option to grab opposite elbows or use a strap or a shirt. But keeping your legs really stable. Every component we just did standing up, keeping that here for one more breath. And then as you inhale, feel your fists being pulled up and down, bringing you back up. Release the arms, reach them up, maybe shake them out. And then exhale, hands come down, frame your front foot. Step back, plank, move through a flow, and we'll meet in down dog. Letting it all go here, feeling the difference in the sides of the body, maybe just a small difference right now. And then when you're ready, inhale, your left leg reaches back and up. Keeping that leg strong, however it makes sense to you. You can keep the foot flexed, you can point the foot, just keeping the muscles active, the hips square to the floor. Keeping every component about our down dog the same as well, even though we're missing one foot. Awesome. On your next exhale, you can start to shift the shoulders over wrist, cat spine, knee pulls into the chest, and then step the foot to the top of your mat, maybe using your left hand to get it there. Legs come into warrior one on the other side, and inhale, rise on up. Just honoring wherever you are on this side. Understanding it could be a lot different than your other side, but doing those same reminders. So lifting the toes and making sure the four corners of your feet are sturdy. And if they're not, then you can widen your stance, you can shorten your stance, just explore until you get to a place where they are sturdy. Feeling your tailbone reaching straight down beneath you, feeling how that increases the stretch in the right hip flexor. Letting your toes be supportive, but not gripping the mat too much with the toes. Inner thighs magnetically drawing toward each other. Breathing, relaxing the jaw, relaxing the forehead. Inhale to reach, bringing the biceps alongside the ears a little bit more. And as you exhale, cactus the arms, open the heart. And then you can come into interlace your hands with the opposite thumb on top, so the right thumb, if you did left on the other side. Inhaling to pull the fist toward the ground, open up the heart. And exhale to hinge at your hips, diving forward, humble warrior, other side. So your left shoulder coming to the inside of the left knee, feeling this deep stretch in the hips, keeping your legs the same. Relaxing the forehead, relaxing the neck, relaxing the jaw. Yeah. It's a few more breaths here. Using that ujjayi breath to help you out. Finding maybe the mind wandering or the body swaying. Letting that audible breath be there to guide you. One more breath. And then next inhale, feel your fists being pulled up toward the ceiling and then down back behind you. Releasing the arms, you can reach them up, shake them out. And then exhale, hands come down, framing your front foot. Step back to plank. Move through your flow. We'll meet in down dog. Letting it all go. Next, inhale, bend the knees, look up to the top of your mat, step up, landing in halfway lift as you inhale, long spine. Exhale, release, forward fold. Inhale, rooting to rise, reach all the way up. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Checking back in. Next time that you inhale, reach the arms up, nice and long. Exhale, dive forward, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen that spine, halfway lift. Exhale, maybe folding a little bit deeper. Plant the hands, step back to your plank. Option to move through a flow if you'd like, and we'll meet in our down dogs. Getting a little bit more into the hips this time. Next time that you inhale, raise that right leg back and up, and then we'll exhale to point the toes, stack the hips, bend the knee. So opening up your hips toward the right side of the room, and maybe looking under that right armpit for a moment, and then looking back at the center of your mat and squaring the shoulders to the ground. So you feel that little twist with the shoulders square to the ground and the right hip trying to stack more on top of the left. Next, inhale, level out the hips, reach the leg long. And then exhale, knee comes into chest, foot comes to the top of the mat. Your back foot can pivot to warrior two legs, and we'll rise up as you inhale, warrior two. So your back foot can be parallel to the back edge of the mat, or your toes can be facing slightly inward if that feels better. Your front knee is reaching toward the pinky side of the foot, but that hip feeling like it's rolling under. And a common tendency is that your left hip will come out. So you just want to push that left hip back in so that your shoulders are stacked over the hips. That'll increasify the stretch in your hips too. You can lift the toes again here, maybe feeling the four corners of the feet secure. Relaxing the shoulders, but feeling the collarbones and shoulders equally broad. And your right hand's reaching forward just as much as the left hand's reaching back. Yeah. As you inhale, straighten out the front leg, reach the arms up. And as you exhale, come back in warrior two, flying your warrior. Let's do this a few more times. Maybe picturing yourself in water. And it can be a good practice for balance if you want to try to close the eyes here too. It's a lot harder than you might think if you don't practice that often or just on certain days. Let's do one more. And then after your last one, we'll meet back in our warrior two. You can slowly reach into the ground, straighten out your front leg, leave the arms where they are, and maybe step your back heel in just a touch, heel toe it in a few times. We'll set up for triangle. So when you're ready, your hips can shift back, right arm reaches forward as far as you can, and then when you can't reach forward anymore, right fingertips reach down, left fingertips reach up. Perfect. And remembering about the pelvic floor here. So keeping your pubic bone and your two hip points feeling like they're squeezing closer to each other. Your lower belly is really active. And you can imagine there's chopsticks from your hips to your lower ribs on either side. So doing your best to keep the side bodies equal length as much as possible. And the crown of your head is reaching forward, neck is long. Awesome. And then next exhale, you can cartwheel or windmill your hands down, bringing them to frame your front foot, and then adjusting your back foot. So it's kind of warrior one feet. And we'll come into our pyramid pose. So you can straighten out the front leg and fold here, taking a moment to focus on the hamstring, letting the forehead reach toward the shin, completely releasing. Your right hip is pulling back slightly. Always permission to adjust the back leg, maybe bring it a little closer for 2 more breaths. When you're ready, you can root the hands down and step the feet back to a plank. Move through a flow if you want to, and we'll meet in our downward facing dogs. Awesome. Next inhale, raise your left leg back and up. Exhale, point the toes, stack the hips, bend the knee. Left hip now, stacking a little more on top of the right, feeling a super nice stretch down the inside of the right leg. Squaring the shoulders back to the mat. Relaxing the neck as much as possible, the face as much as possible. Keeping your hands really strong. And then next inhale, you can level out the hips, reach the leg long. And exhale, knee pulls into chest. Step your foot to the top of the mat. Back foot comes to warrior two legs, and we'll rise up, warrior two. Just honoring your alignment on this side, checking in with where it's at. Keeping that front knee reaching toward pinky side of the foot, that front hip feeling like it's rolling under, and pressing that left hip in so that your shoulders are over hips. Yeah. And maybe lifting those toes for a moment to really feel the feet strong. Beautiful. Letting the face be soft, maybe even letting the eyelids start to close. And when you're ready, you can begin to fly your warrior. So you can inhale to straighten and reach. Exhale to come back and settle. Noticing all the different sensations that happen as they happen. Being very present in this movement. And being okay if the mind wanders away from the movement. Being gentle with yourself. Let's do one more. And then after your last one, let's meet in our warrior two. You can slowly begin to straighten out that front leg again. We'll move the back foot in and come into your triangle pose. So hips shifting back, left arm reaching forward. Awesome. So again, feeling that pelvic floor activate, feeling the lower belly, really just draw in here because it's going to keep you super stable. And feeling your arms just the same as in warrior two. Everything about your body is as long as possible. Perfect. Letting the crown of your head reaching forward, so not forgetting your neck as well. And then you can begin to slowly cartwheel or windmill your hand down. We'll come into our pyramid pose. Hands framing your front foot. You can step your back foot in. Touch just to fold over your left leg. It's on the other side. Yeah. And then keep your left hip pulling back here. Allow your forehead and neck to release so that your forehead reaches toward the shin. Letting it go. Let's take 2 more big breaths. And this time, let's step the right foot up to meet the left. We'll come into our forward fold. Let it go here. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen your spine out. Exhale, forward fold again. And now let's heel toe the feet so that they come to your mat's width distance. So they're wider than the hips. So you're in kind of a wide leg forward fold, a shorter one. And then leave your left foot or your right foot right where it is and step your left foot back so you're in a lizard lunge, a wider lunge. And just adjusting yourself so your hands are on the inside of that foot. Your heel can be reaching back behind you. And collarbones are broad. Let's pause for a moment here. And then you can slowly allow your back knee to drop down. You can untuck those toes. And you can rest here for a few breaths. So you can stay lifted on the arms if this feels good. You can come onto the forearms if that feels better. Just doing your best to allow your hips to be really heavy, sinking forward and down. Breathing into where you're feeling this the most, maybe on the inside of the right hip, maybe on the left hip flexor. Letting your breath be super audible to you and steady to keep your mind focused there. Let's do 2 more exhales. Okay. And then very slowly, if you're on the forearms, begin to come onto the hands. And start to lift your sit bones back and up slightly. So straighten out your front leg. And then let's heel toe that all the way over to the left side of your mat, and we'll come into our pigeon pose. So you can take your time getting there. Bring the hands in front. The right knee comes behind the right wrist. Great. And just making sure your back leg isn't doing anything crazy. Sometimes it goes in or out. Just keeping that in line with the hip. Staying lifted as long as you like. And then when you start to fold forward, you can walk your hands forward first and then down to encourage that length in the spine. You can rest on whatever's available. If you have any props, maybe just your hands, maybe the floor. We'll take about 10 breaths here. So allowing yourself to be here fully, noticing when you start to not be here fully, being kind with yourself about getting back. Noticing any resistance in the hips. And with your attention there, allowing these areas of resistance to soften just a little bit more. Let's do about 3 more breaths. And then once you're ready, you can very slowly begin to come onto the hands. You can tuck your back toes under and just scooch that knee up a touch and bring your left or your right leg back into a 3-legged table. Shake it out. And you can tuck the toes under, lift the hips up, down dog. And the knees look forward, step up, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold, let it go. Noticing the big difference in the hips and the legs. And we will even out when you're ready. So you can step your feet, heel toe it as wide as your mat. Plant the hands down and step your right foot back this time, coming into our lizard on the other side. And taking time to adjust here, no need to come exactly where you left off on the other side. Honoring the starting point and slowly letting your back knee come down. The toes untuck, letting those hips be heavy, sinking forward and down. And slowly making your way to wherever you were on the other side. So either staying on the hands or coming to the forearms on the floor or block. Noticing how this side feels different to the other side and noticing in what ways it feels different. Deepening your breath so much here. Let's do 2 more deep exhales. And then when you're ready, slowly coming onto the hands, lifting the sit bones up slowly. And then making your way to pigeon, so heel toeing the left foot across to the right side of the mat, and the left knee coming behind the left wrist. Again, checking in with that back leg. And coming to rest as you're ready. 10 deep breaths on this side as well. Letting the hips spread a little bit more with time, with our breath. About 3 more exhales. And as you're ready to do so, you can really slowly come on to the hands. And this time to come out, let's come to a seat. So you can start to shift the weight to your left hip more and bring the right leg around in front of you. Can shake out the legs, maybe tap them down. And then let's come into our butterfly pose. So you can bring soles of the feet together as far or close to your hips as you want to, really. You can open the feet like a book or have them be pressed into each other, whatever feels natural. And then as you inhale, just lengthen the spine slightly. As you exhale, you can hinge a little bit. And as always, permission to stretch here how you'd like. So if you want to keep that spine straight and keep hinging, doing a little bit more of an active stretch, you can do that. Or you can totally soften into the pose. Allow the face to fully relax wherever you are. Letting the shoulders relax. The pelvic floor softens, the glutes soften. The inner and outer hips. Just about 3 more breaths. And then slowly you can begin to come back up to your seat. Grab the outsides of the knees, soles of the feet come to the ground. Just give yourself a nice hug. Letting it go, squeezing it out. As you're ready, you can slowly grab the backs of your thighs and lower yourself down to lay on your back. Knees can pull into the chest and you arrive just to massage the lower back and those organs there. And then when you're ready, you can cross your left leg over the right. So kind of coming into eagle legs, you can continue to wrap your ankle around the leg as well. You're just squeezing your inner thighs in toward each other and pressing your lower back into the mat. And then you can do the same thing with the arms. So you can cross your right arm over your left and circle the arms, wrap the arms around each other. So you're in like an eagle pose, but just on your back and really pressing your spine into the mat, pressing your lower back into the mat, squeezing the inner arms, squeezing the inner thighs to each other, wringing yourself out a little bit after those hip openers. And then as you exhale, just simply release your arms and let all of your knees fall to the right. So you're coming into this nice version of a twist, maybe getting a little deeper. And you can unwind at the ankles if that feels better. You can just cross the leg over, just wherever it feels comfortable. And it's okay if your left shoulder slightly lifts off the mat, but doing your best to keep that pulling toward the mat. And feeling that longer space you're creating from the left shoulder through the side body, through the outside of the left knee. So maybe turn your gaze to look over the left shoulder for the last few breaths. Twisting up your neck as well, maybe feeling it down the front right side. Relaxing the outer hips, the inner hips. Shoulders, the right shoulder, the left shoulder. Awesome. And then very slowly, you can begin to guide your head to center, your knees to center. Unwind. Let it go. Maybe windshield wiper the legs, maybe just pause before we go to the other side. When you're ready, you can cross your right leg over left, maybe wrapping it so the ankle crosses too. Squeezing the inner thighs together, other side, and then crossing the left arm over the right. So if you're curious about the crossing of the limbs, I remember it by like your rights are closest to each other, and then your lefts are closest to each other or furthest. So it's like if your right thigh's on top, then your right arm's on bottom, so if they're closer. I don't know if that makes sense. So really squeezing your inner thighs, inner arms together, pressing your lower back into the mat, squeezing, bringing yourself out. Remembering to breathe, remembering to relax the face. And then as you exhale, you can gently release the arms and let the legs fall to the left this time. Twisting, bringing out the spine even more. Maybe gaze coming over the right shoulder. And now consciously softening everything. So softening your left shoulder, the right shoulder, the jaw and the forehead. Soften the outer left hip and glute. Soften the outer right hip and glute. Soften the pelvic floor, the feet, and the stomach. And just a few more breaths, allowing your body to fully be in this posture, surrendering. And when you're ready, you can gently bring the head to center, the knees, unwind the legs, and do whatever you need to do to reset. If there's any final postures you want to take, you can take them. And if you're ready, you can bring your legs and arms to the ceiling. And encouraging the feet and legs, the hands and arms to fully release any holding in their muscles so that the limbs can just rest freely in their sockets. Feeling all your organs settling back into place. Your belly nice and soft. The hands and feet growing warm, tingly. Maybe feeling the pulsing of your hands and feet. Whenever you're ready, you can come into your happy baby. Opening up the hips toward the ceiling. Movement or stillness, whatever your body wants to do. And when you are ready, you can release into your final Shavasana, whatever that looks like for you today. Getting nice and comfy and warm. Fully surrendering yourself when you arrive. Most important pose of our practice. A pose where everything we just practice is solidified within our bodies. Healing benefits soaking through. Completely surrendering the eyes from the outside world of looking. Turning them to the inner eyes, the inner gaze. Watching the forehead as it softens and expands. Letting the jaw be completely heavy as the rest of your face softens at that cue. Maybe hearing your heartbeat, tuning in deeper. Feeling the beating as it expands across your chest, rooting the shoulders a bit deeper into the mat. Expanding down the arms and into the hands and fingers. Both hands and the heart pulsing at the same rate, in tune with one another. And letting the heartbeat travel down through the lungs, the ribs, into the stomach. Feeling the heartbeat in your stomach, along with in the heart and the hands. And letting the beating travel down to the lower belly. Feeling the pulsing in this sacral region. The pulsing continuing to the pelvic floor, the roots and base of your spine. Fully relaxing the glutes and the legs and the feet. Feeling the pulsing of your roots. Feeling the pulsing of the hands and the feet and the toes. Coming back to the heart, watching that pulse as it travels up the neck into the throat, feeling the heartbeat here. Letting it travel up the face, into the forehead, the space between the eyebrows pulsing along, and the very crown of your head. Feeling all the chakras in your body pulsing along with each other. Energies flowing freely. Just letting yourself rest in silence for about another minute. Total body awareness. If you want to stay here longer, as always, you're more than welcome to do so. And if you're starting to feel ready to move on to the next part of your day, you can begin by slowly calling the air back into the body, filling up with breath from the toes to the fingers to the head. Maybe wiggling the fingers, the toes, rocking the head side to side. You can take a big morning stretch if you're ready. And gently rolling into a fetal position on one side in your own time. With the eyes remaining softly closed for now, when you're ready, you can gently make your way up to your seat, meeting with our hands at heart center. And just deeply thanking yourself for taking the time to start your weekend on this positive and loving note. May this continue to carry you through everything you do throughout the weekend. And may you bring this to everyone that you see. Namaste.